We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 18th episode of SEO Unmasked. I know I say it every week. It's hard to believe. The show still goes on. It's December 14th, 2017. Glad to have you with us. As always, I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Vindaletta.
Steve Brownlee. We're back in order now. I have to break it again next week just to annoy Vin.
Yeah.
General overall news. I don't have a whole lot this week. The case study site does have a bunch of links being built to it, which is good. Just I would guess after Christmas we'll definitely see a movement for sure. I think Ahrefs has only found 4 of the links as it is, so should see some good movement and actually have some stuff to talk about. And
yeah, some good new posts going up as well.
Yeah, some cool link baits where we can share some angle ideas and yeah.
Cool. What's up first, everybody?
We got an article about stepping out of the SEO blog by Juan Gonzalez.
It was day 3, the how do you decide on which result to click on for web search. That was the one I kind of included this for because everyone always panics about the snippets. And I know we've spoken on the show a little bit before about how Vin is the rich snippet king. And he's going to share those secrets eventually. We didn't get him drunk in Vegas because he didn't make it out. So you guys have to wait for Ungagged 2018 to get it out of him now. But
when we had those snippets, man, it was like just when Schema was just starting. We didn't even mark anything up. We were just getting them naturally. But
yeah, I mean, so people are clicking these snippets like gangbusters.
Yeah, it looks like 36% of the survey stated that the snippets are how they choose what result they're going to click on.
I think it makes sense. Like if you think about in the SEO space, like a newbie SEO, junior in-house somewhere, they type like beginner's SEO guide or something, and then they get the start of the Moz guide in the snippet, and they've heard of Moz.
Yeah,
they're going to click on that probably 80% of the time. I mean, it's not bad for Moz that Google's given them that snippet, I would imagine. I think Rand's spoken about it a couple of times fairly positively, that the snippets haven't harmed them too much, and I think as users have got used to seeing them, the more useful they are, the more people will click them. So when Google first started the snippets, I bet this survey would have been different because the snippets were full of just absolute trash half the time.
Yeah.
Brand new sites like Vin's just using their SEO expertise to man their way up in there despite not even using markup. Now, obviously, Google's had a lot more data. The snippets are generally pretty good. Like your question's usually the answer. I mean, that's what I find anyway. I don't know about you guys. So the survey just kind of shows an increasing trend towards Google adding new features and people engaging with those more, which is good and bad depending on whether the feature is their own flight search engine in your Skyscanner or whether it's a featured snippet and it sends people to your article or not.
Yeah.
So it's good and bad for everyone. But
I wonder how much of how many people that chose snippets are just because the snippets are the first thing on the page that isn't an ad. I wonder how much of that is just positional and not because of the actual snippet that's being displayed.
I mean, I think obviously it's the biggest thing on the page as well.
Right.
Is this stream working for you guys?
Yeah, I see us up on YouTube.
I better refresh the page. It's just spinning.
Yeah, my internet's too slow to have the stream and the video.
Oh, as long as it's working for everybody else, I guess we're all right.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Cool.
Oh, it's back now. All right.
Cool. Yeah, so that's some good information I just had that bolsters the idea of getting the snippets wherever you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other interesting stuff in there, but that was the main one I put it in for. I found it quite interesting that despite the tax evasion, whatever you want to call it, like whatever the Europeans are called, tax dispute with the Europeans and all that kind of stuff. Google still has a massively positive reputation, so clearly the future's still pretty bright for them in terms of consumer perception and use, which is really good news for Google.
I was looking at that. It's
probably for the rest of us, because all of our money comes from if some new search engine comes along like Facebook search and nothing works the same anymore, it's going to be a super unfun 2 years for us. So
yeah.
long live the king, I say.
We'll see. Cool.
Next, we've been talking a lot about influencer marketing, and it seems it's hit the mainstream. Adweek is covering it in their latest issue, and how advertisers in general should be taking advantage of, I guess just when you really think about it, how most young people get advertising, it is mainly through influencers that they perceivably just trust, and it's probably, well, it's not probably, it is way more effective to advertise in that fashion than just on the TV in between clips of a show or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I buy everything Ben tweets out.
I think that a lot of what's in this article is kind of old news to us. But, it's good
I think that's what Garrett was politely alluding to when he said it's reached the mainstream. But I think it's an interesting thing. I mean, I think brands need to get woken up to it and get a bit more excited about influencers, because their advertising dollars are going to go further. Because if you're in a bidding battle with a really smart AI-driven algorithm and a load of other brands, you're going to just keep, just the way pay-per-click went like this, when, from Gary Vaynerchuk buying the wine keyword, there you go, Vin, for 3 cents, and now it's like $8.50 or whatever. Facebook's the same. It's still underpriced, but it's going this way. So if you have a campaign now that's got a 20% ROI, in a year's time, you've either got to be 20% better or you're going to be making zero.
Yeah.
And with influencers, it's an imperfect battle. You're the experienced pitcher that knows what it's worth, and they don't know what they're worth yet. They're not selling it at the right price. The influencers are massively underpriced. And also, they're not trying to be a $1 billion company. I mean, they're super excited if you give them a few $100s, and sometimes they just want the product because it's really cool for their show and they care about their audience and stuff like that. So just like brands got excited when Facebook was cheap after they felt the pain of pay-per-click, I think it's time for brands to get excited about influencers. And if you're a SaaS company, you're making a new app or you're launching a new B2B thing, there's so many roads where you can get thousands of people signed up through influencers just by letting them try it out, getting them on your podcast, working with them. You're missing a huge trick now if that's not part of your hustle.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best points in the article is just how they talk about just using social graphing data to keep an eye on your brand mentions across social media. And it's not necessarily interacting with influencers, but it's more keeping an eye on what people are talking about your company and adjusting based on that feedback.
I mean, does someone have SEMrush or Ahrefs handy on? What's the cost per click if we did like link building right now?
One second.
Have a quick look.
Just a keyword link building. See who's faster here, Garrett.
Lightning fingers.
Ahrefs.
$7 per click.
Yeah. So. So we're taking part in the one of the big SEO players giveaways, Christmas giveaway. I think Vin's in there as well. And it's only just gone live, and we're getting clicks coming through already. And you take into account the cost of what we're giving away, working with that influencer. It's going to come in way less than $7 a click by the end of the campaign. We've already had our first sale through being on the list. Someone clicked through to the website today and bought already, and that's just through working with an influencer who does, every year there's this big giveaway, and you just get in there and you get clicks for cheaper than the pay-per-click already without even trying. I mean,
that's a great point, man. I don't do. I guess it's influence marketing. Yeah, I like to do a lot of guest posts or get onto podcasts and and just, talk shop, but that kind of thing brings in a lot of new business. For word agents, I'm pretty much, you guys are too. I mean, we're both like booked all the time, but I don't really spend a whole lot on advertising at all. It's all just word of mouth, referrals, and sharing my knowledge, whatever that may be. And it just comes back to me in the form of new clients. So definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to spend something, it's going to be. I mean, we spend on Facebook ads because they're still good value. But if we're going to spend a serious amount, like we'll spend $500 on a Facebook ad campaign for a week, a few times a month or whatever. But what's that? A couple of $1,000 max. If we're going to spend some proper money, it's going to be with influencers because each click, each sale we get, everything about it's cheaper. I mean, if you've got an influencer who's running a giveaway to the exact audience that you need to reach,
right,
it's going to be so much cheaper for you because, and for him because he's already got the audience, it's there, and all the other people
right.
We've promoted the competition, so all of you together benefit from each other's reach as well.
To be clear to the audience, Steve, you're not actually paying the influencer, but you might be giving a giveaway to his audience.
Well, that's how. I mean, that's how. You're spending the money through the product you're giving away. In this case, like I said at the beginning, like the influencers don't always want paying. Sometimes they just want your product. I mean, giveaways are one of the huge ways you can work with influencers. Like, say, if you were trying to think of a good one. Like, say when you remember the e-ink screens were going to be a big thing when they were going to be in color, and it never really worked out. If you had a new product and you wanted to get some serious traction, you're going to want to just go to some blogs where people are all into tablets, like Android Police or something. If they did a giveaway of 10 of your amazing e-ink color screen tablets and they actually worked, that's going to get 300,000 people on your mailing list for the cost of 10 tablets.
Right.
So I mean, giveaways are hugely powerful in the influencer space. So you don't always spend actual cash, but those 10 tablets cost money. The 10 links you're giving away cost money. The thousands of words of content you're giving away cost money. So it's just where you spend your advertising budget. And with influencers, it's a lot cheaper.
For sure.
10 tablets for 300,000 signups or whatever would be I think it would be pretty close. I mean, Android Police has, millions and millions of readers every day. So it's huge.
Yeah.
Or at least it used to. I don't know if it's still as big as it used to be. It's been a while since I used to read all the kind of techie blogs in the mobile space, but it used to be an enormous site.
I'm looking at the page's ranking for link building right now, and it's like stuff that I haven't seen.
I was going to say, an Ahrefs said the demographics of that search term. The Netherlands has 2,200 searches for link building a month. USA only had 300, I think. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because everybody gets their shit through Facebook or, communities.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it probably isn't. I mean, there's so many queries people would type in.
I mean, do you guys do...
To be honest, though, the Netherlands is a big hotbed for link buying. Dutch companies buy a lot of links, so I think they're a bit more clued up on... They're not going to be searching, like if you're a small business owner in the Netherlands, I think you're less likely to search for SEO, and you're more likely to search for where can I buy some links.
Okay, that makes sense.
We've definitely seen that in our customer base. I mean, our EU mainland customers are 100% paid links.
Really?
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
100% paid links on mainland.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Maybe we have one.
I was gonna say I think we have one that I can think of out of a lot.
Yeah,
that's doing natural outreach. But even at that, I think part of their order is still paid anyways, isn't it?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because the algorithm works differently in different countries?
No, it's because Europeans don't care.
No.
They're prepared to roll the dice.
Yeah, they want to be aggressive, exact match anchors all the way, and
yeah, Americans are more timid about. Well, I guess like the whole search. It's not that you guys are more timid naturally. It's just that because the search industry media targets you guys. Mm-hmm. The whole inbound evangelism is an American phenomenon. more people are influenced into thinking they should be scared of doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I think after a couple of bad beats, anybody's going to be scared, especially.
Oh, come on. What we were doing with Sherlock Does Google, you're expecting to get a bad beat eventually.
Next on the list for the news, something that I had never thought of before. Apparently, there's a handful or a lot of webmasters who they make a database of sites that they think would be potentially toxic to be linking to them, and they just put them in a huge disavow file, and every time they start a new site, that new site automatically gets their disavow file. And I sat there and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, a site with no links and you're just going to start disavowing everything? Like, doesn't look suspicious. Doesn't look just weird and, like, stupid.
Well, I don't think it's manipulative. I just think that it's pointless.
I don't know though. I mean, if you're the kind of person who, because remember, there's AI and automated decision making behind so many Google decisions. If it turns out by chance, or just because that's the nature of it, that most people who do that have lower quality sites than spamming Google,
right?
Then you'll get, if you do it as well, your site will get less authority. It will be affected by the machine learning. Because that's actually a really interesting kind of segue. I was watching a presentation by Rory Sutherland, works at Ogilvy. Super cool speaker. If you haven't watched any, if you're watching this, just straight after this, obviously watch us to the end because Vin has the big reel at the end every week. This week's is actually really cool though, so I'm not even baiting you this time. This week's Don't Tweet This from Vin is actually super cool. But yeah, straight afterwards, pop him on. He was talking about how in advertising you often have these crazy brainstorming sessions. And in one of the ones he was in, someone said, yeah, how about we advertise for our liquor at Alcoholics Anonymous meetings? Like, so we find out the halls they're going to be, and we sponsor the halls. So like all the doors have, when they're going to their meeting, they have. And then obviously everyone laughed, and because they were never going to do that. It's just
one time in college, I went to an AA meeting, and it was at a bar.
Well, that was smart.
I'm not shitting you.
So they were sponsored by this. So this guy left Ogilvy and actually found a job with it. But no, he was saying it was like just part of joking around. Like no one expects those ideas to fly. You're just brainstorming, and someone will have a sensible idea on the back of the stupidity. But what he was saying is, the algorithm doesn't have that moral compass. So if you're an addicted gambler, you can do things like don't read the sports pages because you don't see the odds there anymore. Don't go to a casino in the real world. In the online world, the algorithm, if it can figure out through some other way that you're the type of person who tends to be an addicted gambler, because obviously a big win for them is getting, for a drinks company, for their advertising campaign, if they want to sell some random Armagnac that I didn't even want to me at 2 a.m, it's a really good idea for them to have the knowledge that I'm going to buy it. And obviously alcoholics are going to be super valuable to reconvert back to drinking. Addicted gamblers are going to be super profitable to convert back to gambling. And his point was that algorithms won't have to say, but that's ridiculous, that's so immoral, we can't do that. They're not even going to realize they're doing it. They're going to optimize the ad and who they're targeting, and through some other signal they'll figure out, oh, this type of person tends to go nuts on gambling after we target them. It just happens that 80% of this group that they've identified are addicted gamblers. And I think you run the same risk if you start following this kind of crazy generic idea that paranoid people are doing, because what if 80% of the paranoid people are manipulative spammers, and you follow this kind of thing and put a generic disavow file up, and the algorithm learns that you're part of that group and punishes you altogether. So I think you've got to think about that kind of stuff and just be a bit more sensible than sticking up generic disavow files. So, long story to get to the end. I just thought that was such a perfect fit for this news story.
You know, I was reading some of the comments too, and this is something I talked about in another episode. I really think the SEO community needs to start moving towards, testing, and we need to be setting up clear testing before any type of blog post about any type of strategy or any type of move you want to make it comes out. And if you take a look at the comments here, they're talking a lot about what's the term here? Single variable experiments. And some people are saying that can happen, and other people are saying there's no way that's ever going to work.
My view is it's impossible because of the time scale over which you can test some simple things, but too much of it's hard to test. Just because Google deliberately obfuscates the test results.
Yeah.
And I told the story last time we chatted about this, so I'll be super brief this time. But I've seen cases where a really terrible page with like 15% keyword density, bold, italic, and underline all over the page, gibberish text, was replaced by an amazing 4,000 word guide, and it bombed for 7.5 months before it popped back up to be higher than the original one. When you're testing in that kind of environment, can you really expect a business where you can say to them, right, replace all of your pages, do no other promotion, no other marketing. We just want to see what the result of this one test is in between 6 and 9 months, and then we'll do some more work. I mean, you'd be 10 years in before you tested 4 variables. Yeah. And there are some, SEOs that are lucky enough to have their own portfolio of 100+ sites. They can, right, this site we're going to spam the hell out of the anchor text. Right. This site and they can get some read on generically what's working, but I think to expect any kind of small business to test is lunacy.
Yeah. I'm just thinking more of like when we're talking about SEO gurus and SEO bloggers. When they're coming to explain a new strategy or a new tactic, I think it needs to be backed up by clear proof. And there's so many blogs that just ignore proof before spewing out this new shiny object. But
well, I mean, I wrote a post about that on our Marginally Coherent blog, where we're kind of just trying to talk about how you would debunk some of those spurious claims and tests.
Yeah.
And it was just around thinking about what the end result that Google's trying to achieve is, and logically think, would this course of action be something that would get to where my site would be what Google was looking for at the end result? And I won't ruin your don't tweet this, but when we get to the end, people will see that might make sense. It might make the site better if you. I mean, it doesn't make immediate sense necessarily in terms of that all articles should be that way, but some things you can logically deduce, okay, yeah, I can see why that would be a sensible thing that could improve the quality of my site. Other things, when they're just talking about how is putting a generic disavow file up improving the quality of your site and helping Google achieve the end result of showing their customers the best possible page? Right. In what way is that course of action useful to anyone? So I would, what I talked about in that article, and I'll give Garrett the link in a second for the comments at the end of the video, but you can just use that logic to eliminate the really, really bad ideas that you come across. And then it gives you a smaller field of things that, okay, yeah, these ones make sense. I am actually improving my site. So even if it doesn't work, I'm getting something out of it much better. If it improves my site, it'll convert better. Something else good will happen. So I think just using that kind of logic's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially that kind of statement will work on anything. You can apply that to any strategy. But, it's still unfortunate for newbies or somebody that's less experienced than us that might not have the experience to differentiate between what's logical and what's just completely nonsense.
Yeah.
So it'd still be good to see, proof, but I think it's probably a tall order these days.
I mean, the biggest scam I saw for selling I won't out the individual, but the biggest scam I saw for selling an SEO course was, look at how I've got all these .edu links and all these like big government links. I'm amazing at getting them. Sign up for my course and I'm going to teach you how I get them. He basically explains when you sign up for the course, because I'm a sucker for figuring out what all these people are up to, as you know, from my extensive webinar watching program. So you sign up for the course, and the first thing he says is, "Oh yeah, this is just all a scam that you use to trick your customers because you show them your link building expertise by showing them one of these sites that has all these .edus and .gov links." All he was doing was getting Screaming Frog, scraping the hell out of the like some random .gov, finding dropped domains, like properly dropped, like years ago, that still had the links, buying them, putting some stuff on there, like some really spammy site, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I got to go .gov to my Viagra site. That's how I'm an elite link builder." And he was suggesting that to their customers to impress them. And it's like, so yeah, that's what newbies face in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, well, when I first started back in 2010, and I went on to Wikifire, every single sales thread had an earnings screenshot or like a PayPal screenshot, and be like, "Hey, it's looking, this is how it works for me," and you could see, in one day they have 20 entries for $100+. So obviously that's very shady. But
I remember I was talking to someone, you see a lot of people say, "Yeah, I've built this 7-figure agency, blah blah blah. I've made millions." And I was asking some new guy a few months ago, let me pick your brain. When you see someone saying they've made millions, what does that mean to you? Like, well, he must be rich. He must be rolling in it. He must be doing super well. And I'm like, have you ever stopped to think that maybe he made $1 million over 20 years, and that's really not a lot of money, and that was just revenue, so he didn't even make a profit? Or maybe he did $1 million in 5 years, but really, $1 million for any SEO agency isn't a lot over 5 years, and that's just revenue, and he probably lost half of that in overhead and taxes, and then
more than half.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's like, is it really that much money to say that you've made a 7-figure agency? No.
I mean, that's actually something, if you're in the e-commerce space, you have to be super
right. Yeah, because then you could be doing $1 million a month and only making 50 grand. It's like insane.
Less. Some of them make less as a percentage, and it's, you see the speakers at these big e-commerce conferences. They're like, he made $7.5 million over the last 4 years in revenue. So he's made a few £100,000 a year or something, a few $100,000 a year. And that's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, the guy's not in abject poverty. He's doing all right for himself. But like, he shouldn't be speaking at a conference. Like, all of the, the dude that you're trying to convince to quit their job to follow your program might be making more money in the job they've got than the new base this year, while you've been racking up this $7.5 million of Amazon sales at 4% commission or whatever. It's like, you've got to be really careful of that in the e-commerce space, because it's bullshit big numbers to get people excited.
It's snake oil salesman is what it is.
I mean, I know it's hard to fill conferences and stuff, but at least have some decent speakers.
Those spurious motherfuckers.
We spoke about that before. I mean, the standard of speakers is just going down through the floor. I mean, I don't think everyone talks about, we need more women speakers because equality and all that bullshit. Like, it's got nothing to do with that. We need more women speakers because the only good speakers are the women. Like, the guys just go up there with their bullshit numbers and are trying to promote themselves, and you've got people like Lexi Mills in our industry who's giving just insane value. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a better SEO speaker than her, and I've seen like, I took it down to the second one, but I've seen her speak once and then seen a video of another one, and both of them totally different, both of them giving insane value. And then you watch like Will Reynolds from SEO, who's super famous on the tour, give a vaguely uplifting talk where he talks about how SEO should learn pay-per-click because it's super cool, and he didn't know that you could target this thing. And it's like, look, I've just got to speak to like a 1-year pay-per-click noob junior at an agency to learn that fact. Why is this an hour slot at an SEO conference that people have paid good money to be at? It's frustrating. So even the formerly good speakers that have built a good reputation are just riding on their good reputation now. They haven't got anything new to say. When you're talking about a topic you don't even know about, sorry, Will, but your pay-per-click presentation was terrible at Search Love a couple of years ago. If you're talking about a topic you don't know anything about, of course all the new things you learn sound exciting to you.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know anything about it before. I mean, like, if I'd never seen a pay-per-click campaign before on AdWords, I'd be like, wow, you can target that, and you can eliminate this, and you can
But realistically, that's something you should have just watched a free video on and not spent $1,000 to go to a conference to.
Yeah, yeah.
I-
The rest
I-
of us already know it. It's just like, well, why am I being subjected to it? One, if I wanted pay-per-click, you're not the person to listen to. There's proper people to talk about it. And I Larry Kim, for example, he just mostly seems to do pay-per-click for his promotion of his brand.
Yeah. I think Steve left.
He said he was having problems with his internet today.
For me, I usually turn my blinders on to new blogs and new information if I'm actively working on something that I haven't hit my goal for yet. So it's like, why am I going to learn a new skill or a new tactic if I haven't hit the goal that I'm previously working on? It's a shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Like stick with one thing until you got to where you wanted to go, and then go out and try to learn something new. But that's just me.
Yeah, I hear you. It's frustrating to watch.
Sure.
But,
what do we got next?
Am I back?
No, you're back.
Hey, you're back, buddy. You want to finish?
I'm
what you were saying?
I'm on the magic 4G backup internet now. Yeah, I was just saying around, like Larry Kim obviously has some cool stuff to share. But if you wanted to go to a pay-per-click conference and learn the really deep stuff, that's where you'd be, right? I mean, SEO noob trying pay-per-click for the first time isn't a compelling title for a presentation at a $2,000 conference. That's all I'm saying. So, and it was disappointing, the lack of like real heavy hitters at Ungagged. They had Cygnus SEO, but that was it really for me in terms of heavy hitters, people that were famous in the industry.
I told you that they had sent out the survey for feedback, and I gave them very bad feedback, and one of them emailed me personally asking for why I thought it was so bad and stuff. And I didn't rant at them like I usually do. I just straight up told them, like, there were a lot of problems, and the quality of this conference has gotten very bad, and it's obvious. And it's obvious you're just paying whoever you can to be up here, because you can't get any big guys because they don't give a shit anymore. Everyone's making so much money, it's like whatever.
Well, it was obvious when they shut the Sunday day down.
Yeah,
and
they didn't even respond to me because they knew. I can only assume they know I'm exactly right, and there's nothing they can do. They're just trying to squeak a few more years out of their conference, and
yeah.
Well, I think it's growing in attendance, but
no, it was like a third of the size as it was last year.
Really, okay.
They had like 1,000
yeah,
something.
I didn't take it out last year.
And I also think it has to do with the fact that digital marketing and SEO is no longer as mysterious as it once
That's true.
was. Like, people would go to these conferences because you could literally learn something that you couldn't learn anywhere else. But now the cat's kind of out of the bag, and it's more just about putting your head down, getting the work done.
Right.
And you're not going to hear these juicy tidbits of trickery anymore. That's just my take, but. Sure.
Yeah, there was that forum thread on Builder Society where someone had said, "I want to give you $2,000, and you need to give me like a life-changing SEO tip." It's like, and everyone was like, "Well, you're gonna need to give me like 20,000."
I went a little hard on that guy. I was like, "All right."
I forgot you weighed in. I saw C. Carter's reply. I forgot you were in there as well, ripping him.
I was like, you can send me the $2,000, but I'm not going to give you anything or teach you anything other than the lesson that you just have to do the work yourself. And the kid came back. He's like, I guess I did this to myself, didn't I? And
you should have replied, "Well, where's my money?"
Yeah.
Where's my money, bitch?
No, that guy's cool. I've seen him in other threads. He's actually working towards something, but there, especially in 2017, 2018, there are no shortcuts. You can just expand on your experience and your knowledge and keep on growing, but you got to do the work, and there's no trick.
Well, it's like we spoke about before. If you want to be a black hat, you totally can still, but it's really hard, and you have to be super smart. Like, it's actually easier to write an amazing article than it is to figure out how to make your 100 words of bollocks or an empty page.
Yeah.
Like in the old days, people who used to do it for a joke, like they'd make an empty page and rank it. Oh, there we go. I'm ranked now for when that product comes out next year.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the difference between white hat and black hat now is just two different, paths of two different directions. It's no longer both are going to take the same amount of work.
Are there
in the sense
people
that-
even doing like legitimate black hat stuff anymore? Because when I see
Yeah,
people who say they're doing black hat, I just want to say like, dude, that's just idiotic. That's not even black hat. That's just dumb.
I mean, like the whole hacked link stuff. That's obviously black hat because it's also illegal. I mean, that's full on black hat. But that obviously works because
dynamic link injections into like government sites and all that.
Yeah.
But that shit doesn't work anymore. And
well, say so.
Well, maybe I don't know, but I wouldn't use it on my sites.
No, of course not. Neither would we.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a white hat agency. I mean, but so yeah, people are making a lot of money doing. I mean, especially the hacked links. I mean, that's a big problem. I mean, one because it's illegal.
Edits?
But well, I was trying to not refer to the brand name version. Other hacked link alternatives are available. But yeah, I mean, like the problem is, you see some of these hack linked products being sold as outreach, and you see naive SEO agencies and one-man band SEOs buying hacked outreach links for their clients. Their clients are now breaking the law. Their clients are the criminals by proxy, and you know if it's a big client and a big prosecution comes, they're not going to be able to get away with the excuse, "Oh, these guys did it, didn't know." It worries me enormously for the industry, as if we haven't already had enough damage to our reputation to the point where everyone who was doing white hat SEO tried to rename themselves to be an inbound consultant to get away from the name, and now we've got outreach just means anything you feel like now. You don't have to actually.
Well, I guess when you look at
just hack the site and put it in there.
Historical, not just SEO, but waves of marketing, there's always going to be people that are constantly pushing themselves because they have to, and then there's always going to be people that don't really advertise and always have work and they just never go away because they're doing good work and honest work. And it's not necessarily even just the industry of advertising. It happens everywhere where people just keep popping up, and it is very bad in SEO because it's just a fucking cocktail of nonsense most of the time. But
we talked about it last week. It's just because the powers that be aren't sophisticated enough
well, no, it's because the powers that be are not transparent because they're scared of their algorithm not being strong enough. And in a market absent of information from the person who actually makes the decision, you're going to have people. You can say whatever you want. Like I could just say now, the best way to rank your page is to have 47 keyword mentions, and you just have to make your article long enough that comes in at exactly 2.43% density. But then you have to put in 12 internal links to your homepage on every article, and that will get you'll dominate. I could just say that, and you can't prove I'm wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously it's retarded and it's really stupid, but people can say whatever the hell they want because there is no. This is how the algorithm works. Because Google keeps it closed.
Yeah.
Which one can you presume is because it would be too easy to break if you could read it all and understood how it worked.
I would really love to see how often, and Google's laughing at all of us trying to game their algorithm. when they read like one of these harebrained schemes, what kind of chuckle they get out of it because it's completely.
Well, Matt Cutts did laugh quite a few times on his webmaster videos, so I'm guessing if he couldn't contain himself on video, I'm sure there was some chuckles. I mean, that's why I always say that's why I wrote that article, because I think it's just not even worth trying to think about testing and gaming and finding a loophole for 5 minutes. I think it's all just about quality. And you should just be thinking about quality 24/7 and
put your best foot forward. Don't try to take a shortcut. And
it's like if you found a loophole in Facebook ads, and you found that if you used a certain combination of words and a particular, there's actually a real example. I don't have to make an example up. So there was a phase on Facebook ads where everyone was asking for likes, of their homepage and so oh like this, you can enter this competition, and they just banned it. So people made some money for a few months and then it was banned. That doesn't do your brand any good. It's not sustainable. You've made a little bit of money. Who cares? Like, you're not going to retire on, even if you made 100,000, you're not going to retire on $100,000, are you? I mean, you've
No.
achieved nothing for your long-term goals. All you've done is and then you're going to find another one because you haven't learned how to do any real marketing. You haven't built any real brand, anything real going. Back to square one again. Better figure out another. It's just a constant. You're on the hamster wheel.
Well, I think that was the whole reason a lot of people ran away from the churn and burn model, because at first it was making some money, but it just got more difficult and difficult. And the whole field of people that were using that business model to make money from SEO, they're just not existent anymore. It used to be huge, but churn and burn, I haven't heard that term in 3 years now.
Just in payday loans.
Is that still around? Seriously, people are still getting
Yeah. Like the top in the UK rankings, like the top half are locked down, and then below that, it's just like this.
Yeah. Is it still all on parasites, or is it?
It's a mix of strategies. It's a real mix of
I
strategies.
mean, you think of it, those guys can still get away because, let's say we had someone spending $200,000 a year with us link building to be competitive in payday loans. That's a lot of money just on link building. And you can go do churn and burn for 50 grand a year, or whatever it is, maybe 100.
Well, it's actually the opposite. The churn and burners will quite often
Does it
drop
change?
$1 million. The churn and burners will quite often drop $1 million because they know
Because
they'll make it back.
well, for a while it was so much more affordable for them. They would just burn a site every 9 months and fuck it. It's 50
Oh,
grand.
and the industries like payday loans, Viagra. If you can rank for a while, you make, and if you because you're not.
Yeah, you're making so much every day.
Yeah,
It's like, holy
so
crap.
much money. So much money.
I was in Garcinia, or just random weight loss pills, and debt consolidation. And for a while, I could put up like a new site once a month, and 2 months later, I was making money from it. But it just doesn't work that way anymore. Or maybe I just haven't kept up with the strategies that make that work. But
Yeah.
I'm completely
Well, it's
happy with
definitely
what
not
I'm
as
doing.
easy as it used to be. There's no question. But if you've got $1 million to spend, and you're going to make $2 million back most of the time you do it, you just keep doing it, don't you? You're addicted to the game.
Yeah.
But for you, obviously, you found your fortune in more legitimate websites. So for obvious reasons, you've made the change now. But
yeah,
if you'd made your first million as a spammer, there's no question the temptation would be to continue to go down that route more, and it just depends where you have your first success. I mean, the only reason I do outreach and PR and influencer marketing is because the first proper money I made in the industry was doing it. That's what I learned. That's what I got good at. That's what I happened to make first decent contract doing. And then obviously we've just scaled it up from there to be a proper business. But if I'd made my first real money doing debt consolidation, and I was like, wow, the incentive's there to keep learning the new nonsense. But if it was just a little bit of cash, like all the silly sites that we had with Sherlock Does Google and SEO Sam and all that stuff, you've not really made any money. So it's like, well, that was nice. That was a bit of fun. But this clearly wasn't. I wasn't good enough at this when it was easy to make $1 million, let alone now. So let's move on to some proper shit and learn to do proper marketing. But if you were good enough to make $1 million when it was hard, and you can only make 750,000 a year now, you're still pretty invested in this is a good idea for me to keep doing this for now.
For me, I think that I'd much rather be a business owner than a guy that just exploits like one marketing strategy. I want to have a business that has utilizes several marketing channels eventually, and is something that might even outlast me, and will still be around once I'm gone. So I don't know if I could do that just being.
I don't know. The AI overlords will do all of our writing for us by the time you're dead.
We'll see.
I mean, you could be your company could be like the like humans who haven't groveled sufficiently to the robots. You could write their letters of apology for them for.
we'll be like the underground outcasts, the actual real writers.
Human content. Yeah, you have to be in hiding. Your children will be in hiding because they run an illegal content business. The robots did not write this.
Please,
there is one
that's not the case.
The robots did not produce this.
You know what? I mean, AI content is coming out a lot in finance too. When you see the stock finance and everything.
Yeah, finance and sports, quick summaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that because it's just based on raw data, but I think it's going to be a long time coming before our AI can include insightful information. So for now, I think I'm safe.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're not talking. I mean, I think you'll have sold that business long before the AI takes it.
No, it's not going to work.
Possibly, if you believe some of the researchers, because you've died.
Yeah.
Some of the researchers are a lot more skeptical of the soonness of everything than others. I mean, even the most optimistic of the AI evangelists, you're talking 20 years away, which is way too far away for you to be concerned about the longevity of your business. I mean, 20 years of good income is still a long time to enjoy good income.
Yeah,
so.
I think they say that the date of the singularity is like 2041 or something like that. Where
the date of the singularity. I haven't heard anyone say that in a long time.
This is the researchers that believe 21 ever.
What was that, Steve? I didn't hear you.
There's some AI researchers that believe it could be between 2100 and never.
Oh yeah. So it's complete nonsense, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, there's an argument that it may not be possible to create a genuine representation of a living, thinking intelligence. You may just be able to provide. There's no argument, though, of course, that we're going to be able to make amazing problem-solving machines, which may have the same impact. Which is actually what the paper went on to say. Like, the singularity may never come, but we may be fucked anyway.
Yeah. I believe it.
The Great Filter. You guys know about the Great Filter? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If any of you want to read about it, waitbutwhy.com has an amazing long thought series.
Yeah, it's really good.
Really, really good.
I'm gonna read that.
Definitely worth the read. Super smart. That guy's amazing, actually. He keeps sending emails going, I promise my next amazing post coming soon, because he used to be super regular, and now it's he's told us he's working on this amazing thing that's going to change our worlds, but it's always coming soon. I'm like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Terry says it'll just simulate really good. Oh, I forget that the feed is a few minutes behind us. He'll catch up. All right, what do we got?
Next on the list, Google's looking to plan out their project or phase out their Project Solar lead gen business. Skimming through the article, they had a good point saying their sales and lead gen was directly related to how solar was perceived in the news and the mainstream media, how much it was being pushed to get more people interested. If it's not being talked about in the news, no one cared, and I guess that's kind of reasonable to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the long and short of it is Google's a really good company at selling pay-per-click advertising, and it turns out it's more profitable for them than yet another sector, because we've seen them drop out of a few where they've tried to become a lead gen intermediary, and they've turned out not to be as good at that as the people that were doing it before. They'll make more money selling just pay-per-click ads to solar companies than they were able to make through this game.
For what I got out of it was that it just took off because it was a 20% project. So Google allows their employees that for 1 day a week they can work on any project or new project they want on Google's time, hoping that something will come out of it and become a new Google product.
Yeah,
but this is one that became a mainstream product. It was integrated into search.
Oh, it was.
People were paying to be featured and stuff like that. It wasn't It was a full-on, but remember, we've seen other lead gen attempts by Google not work out. I don't think it's a specialist skill that they've developed in-house yet, and this is just another failure to go on the pile. I think they're better at selling ads, and they've realized that if people would just give them the pay-per-click and convert them themselves, they make more money and the people make more money. So it's interesting. Google isn't succeeding at much outside their core stuff yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time.
Whereas you compare it to like Elon Musk, who goes from, sports cars to trying to send a rocket to Mars by 2020. Google's track record, despite having vastly superior money and all these ideas, they've got like 20% projects, and the failure rate seems to be like they would be better off just returning that money to the shareholders, in my opinion. If I was a Google stockholder, I'd be wanting to see a nice juicy dividend instead of all this shenanigans.
Well, how many of Musk's projects are profitable at this point? I know that
none.
What's that?
I don't think.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think any of them are. But
the rocket project is profitable, but he chooses to spend all of the profits on trying to go to Mars instead of giving himself the money. So, like SpaceX is able to launch a profitable mission, like a satellite or a resupply mission to the space station. A profitable mission is cheaper with them than with the original providers. However, he spends all of the profit on trying to send rocket to Mars, which is his decision, obviously. But to say it's not profitable just because he's insane or a genius, we'll find out. I still think he's going to be remembered. Like when you look back at history, at people that changed the world.
Why don't people talk about Amazon's rocket stuff? Because he's doing it cheaper and more successfully than Elon Musk.
He's not trying to go to Mars.
He's trying to do just as much as him, but it's never in the news. His rockets are what?
He's not trying to go to Mars.
I think he is. I think he's trying to beat
Jeff Bezos or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's doing everything cheaper, better, faster.
He hasn't got the government contract either.
Who cares? It's like he's doing it all privately, better, faster.
Well, if you've not actually put a real payload to the space station yet, and you've not re-landed a rocket for the first time in history, a reusable rocket for the first time, all the things that you need to make.
He was like right behind Elon Musk. It's like,
well, if you invent something second, then you suck, and the original person gets the credit.
Well, Nikola Tesla didn't get any credits.
I want to see all of his projects come to fruition, man. I want to see that Hyperloop and
it'd be awesome.
But I think the solar panel stuff is like the most viable. I think that's.
Well, no, that's the least viable because he got screwed by the regulators.
And his in-home battery, the battery that sits next to
the battery is going to be hugely profitable for him because if I owned this house, I would have one. Because what better uninterruptible power system can you have? And even in this country, you can charge the battery up on solar if you're only using it as an emergency supply easily. And a lot of the year, around 40% of the year, you're going to get a real benefit out of it in terms of saving, like massive saving overnight.
What's wrong with the regulators now? What they do?
Oh, solar. Just Google like Solar City and some of the stuff that went on. Like there was, they stopped letting them sell the power back to the grid. They started taxing them extra. So like what they were saving, they got taxed extra because they had the solar panels. They dropped.
They were scared of profits being taken away from the utility companies. So
I'm sure
it's politics.
We have a president at the minute in the US who campaigned on digging up more coal.
Yeah.
That tells you where the votes are. So, all the politicians, it's not like he's he's a rookie politician. He can still figure out what he needs to say to get some votes in those towns. There's a lot of experienced politicians who are well aware that if there's no power company jobs, it might hurt them in some of their districts. So,
Sure.
If you can kind of nip that in the bud.
Well, a guy can dream, man. Solar panels on every house and a Hyperloop on every corner. So that's my.
Oh, it's coming. I mean, short-sighted politicians can only mess things up for so long. Like people were throwing like wooden shoes into factory equipment, like in the Industrial Revolution, but we all have automated manufacturing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
you can slow it down for a while, but unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which side of the impact you're on, technology just marches on. Once you've learned something, you can't unlearn it.
It's true.
Like
I think Uber is a good example of that. Uber and Lyft.
They know how to make them.
Yeah.
Once you've learned something, you can't unlearn it. Like, you know how to do it now.
Yeah, I would say Uber. I mean, taxi companies would love Uber to go away, but I don't think there's any way that that's ever happening.
No, it's a done deal for them now. It's an absolute done deal. It's changed the world. So I think your dream will come true, Vin, but it will take longer than you wish because of regulation and bullshit. But it'll all come.
Yep, such is life.
So we got through our news items pretty quick today.
Yeah.
Well, we
I guess it did take about an hour anyways.
We have our exciting new feature where we're going to look at the hashtag SEO on Twitter and see if we can find one most interesting story. So I guess we should all pick
We can
one and
find
see
some spurious stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking for a spurious claim on Twitter.
You guys are so late.
I don't know. I don't know if I even remember how to log into Twitter. Oh, it's saved. I'm good to go.
All right, so what's the game here? What are we doing?
Okay, I found one that's... You just have to find stupid things that people are saying. So I found one that's pretty dumb. So someone's saying... should we just say who they are? Like, yeah, I don't care. Isadora Agency says, okay, Google, just 50... This is just so... I can't even read it. Like, just 59.2% of users browse with Chrome, always optimized for other browsers. It's like... Sounds like Chrome's pretty marching up there. I mean, it was down at 30% 2 years ago, so it's like, yeah. So you got Chrome
statistic? It's 52%. Holy shit.
9.2. They're saying. We need a fact checker, Garrett. Since you can't sign into Twitter, can you fact check any claims? Is the Google market share about 60%?
Browser market share.
That's insane. I mean, there are developers obviously who just like use Google Chrome, and then it might be broken on something else, but
Chrome is about 55.7%ish.
yeah, it's not far off then.
55%. Yeah, close enough.
But I think the thing these days is, I remember when I was first developing for the web, you do it in Chrome, and Chrome followed the web standards perfectly, so everything always worked. And then it would be slightly different on Firefox. It would be totally broken on IE. Now, like, with the web frameworks and everything that are available, unless someone's on IE 8 or earlier, everything pretty much just works acceptably on everything without major issues. So I don't really know what they were getting at there, but the fact that Chrome having 2/3 of users was a just thing was what I thought was funny there. You got one, Vin?
No, I'm so sorry.
I gotta get on. It's gonna be fun. Neil Patel.
I was gonna pick that. I just saw it.
You say. You say it. I'll find a different one.
That don't publish a single blog post without these 9 tags. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just Neil Patel's homepage is just.
All right. I got a better Neil Patel one.
All right, go ahead.
101 e-commerce SEO tips, and in parentheses that actually worked. Without clicking the article link, I bet he says, describe your product, use a picture, and some other really basic shit, like 75 times. And then
His reviews. He's going to say tab reviews.
Yeah. Just I thought it was way more funny. No.
Markup. There's product markup, price markup. He's going to say markup. Actually, I'm not sure. Actually, do you think? Let's make that the bet.
You think he's that smart?
I've just probably erroneously said that he will have used product markup.
Right.
Do you two guys believe that he will have recommended using product markup in his e-commerce article?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think he will.
Go on then. I think
Breadcrumbs.
Right.
He wants people to 3-to-1 stuff. Use category pages.
Just
use.
control F markup. See if you can.
What's going on here? No, don't send me notifications, Neil.
Oh no, sign up. You want them every morning with your coffee.
Marketplace, marketing. Use schema markup to get aggregate star-based reviews next to your products in organic
It
search.
wins. So we're 1 point to win in this round so far.
Fuck you, then.
I don't know what I can't
Well,
find it.
okay, so everyone knows
You can win then. No.
Neil doesn't write this stuff anymore, so we have to give proper credit to what's his name.
Brian D writes some of them. I think there's a lady that writes some now. I can't remember her name though. I saw a tweet about it.
I've been told that he outsources to lots of people and puts it under a single persona. But then he has got like some crazy non-compete, non-disclosure thing that he makes everybody sign.
I heard a rumor that he doesn't wash his socks now. I'm not saying he definitely doesn't wash his socks, but it does. As Trump would say, it does sound like the kind of thing he wouldn't do.
That's actually a spurious claim.
Very spurious.
But I did actually get told that by someone who's pretty well known in the SEO industry. So, Neil knows who it is if he's watching, which he isn't.
I didn't have time to look through this, but I found a ridiculous headline. Unpopular keywords will boost your content popularity. So I went ahead and I opened up the blog post.
That's amazing.
I went into the blog post, and it's basically a post about long tail keywords.
I was going to say, the only thing that makes sense is picking up on stuff that people don't search for in large volumes, but you add them all together and you get a
Yeah,
I know what they meant to say. That their title sounds.
Yeah.
Garrett's noise describes the title.
It's like, come on.
So,
this is why I don't go on Twitter. I get more angry.
Blog post on long tail keywords, but he stole all of his graphs and charts from Patel and Content Marketing Institute. But the title is ridiculous. Unpopular keywords will boost your content popularity.
Oh, there's a if you want to do a reply to one, if you look under hashtag SEO tips, Rand is looking for our less than 280 character checklist on how to rank a web page in Google in 2018. And so far, after 4 hours, he has one reply saying, "Thanks for asking this. I'm very curious and I'd like to find experts sharing their own strategies and results." Oh man, he's got some other replies actually. He hasn't got many. So I think we should have a competition for funniest reply and see where we can go. I'm actually just going to reply.
Yeah.
Just so I get the win. No, just so I get the winning over you guys. I'm going one word reply. Spurious.
We gotta flesh these games out before the show starts, man. I need some lead time here.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for next week.
You guys, have you got your tweets ready? Because we're gonna send them at the same time. I don't want you guys looking out on me.
But this is definitely something.
No. You gotta send Rand a tweet. Like, so it has to be amusing.
Hang on, Rand.
You're not found it yet.
What am I gonna say? No, I better not say anything to Rand. You know what I'm gonna say.
Just one word. Just you have to send in one word. I've said it's a question mark. And then actually, yeah, I'm gonna do hashtag SEO UnMasked.
I'm not saying anything to Rand. What am I gonna say to him?
I don't know. I just hope no one's
nice
told him what
mustache. You see this?
Well, yeah,
you see this 3-month-old unkempt beard that is disgusting? That's what you should be trying for, Rand.
I'm actually going to type that. I'm going to say my buddy Garrett says if you grew a thicker and fuller beard, those rankings just easy.
I just wrote SEO 3.0.
All right, I'm just sending spurious like my original plan.
Let's make up a new term. Like people were doing pillow links last year for some reason. We're gonna do 2x4 framing.
All right,
And it's
so
how to structure your content for better
by
rankings.
next week, we will have come up with what 2x4 framing is.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you that strategy on the show.
And by the following week, it'll be all over Twitter.
Yes.
But there's going to be
we're going to have a course. We're going to have a course. It's $4.97. It's going to be an hour-long video. I suggest you sign up. It's going to be good.
If you prefer to learn live, $7,652. That's just what it's going to cost us to run it. We're not nothing on that. Like, we've worked out to the penny what it needs to cost, and it's 7,852. You can come to Las Vegas, and we're going to teach you the live version. 2 hours long. 2x4 was it called again, Garrett?
2x4 framing.
2x4 framing. So we'll have it all figured out.
Houses are built out of 2x4s, so this should be a pretty stable foundation for your.
Yeah. Saw Jim Duggan used to hit people with them, and like won quite a few matches on WWF. So I remember that from being a kid. I mean, that's the only reason I know what a 2x4 is, because I don't know how houses are built. I think this was a good new segment, guys. I think we should definitely. This is a feature of the show. It's better than we cut the news short so we could fit this segment in. I think it was worth it.
Anyways,
so
we had a question. Yeah, we had a question in this week. Is it worth doing in-house SEO for a business-to-business startup before you have traction or a budget? If it is worth it, what steps would you take?
That's a good question. Of course it's worth it. You don't have to be spending money to do that. You could just be doing basic on-site SEO optimization. So creating quality content around your target keywords. There's free keyword tools out there. You don't have to spend any money to get the most broad keywords for your industry. You could be marking up your web page using a proper site hierarchy architecture.
I mean, I think that's actually a really good point, just around the site architecture, because if you don't think about it before, you could potentially be storing up some massive costs in the future. I know a lot of startups are like, oh, we'll just build it in Ruby, and then when we get big, we'll deal with figuring out what the hell we actually need to rewrite this whole thing in. But you can't do that for the whole of the startup. Like, every part of your strategy can't be, we'll do it really badly just to get launched.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out, because
when it comes to site architecture, you have to plan for 10 years down the line, because
Right.
Once you're building out your URLs in a certain way, you have to stick with that. And if that's if you're going to be scaling, expanding, and growing as a company, and you made a bad choice as far as your site structure from the beginning, it's going to be pretty difficult to change way down the line. So definitely something to think about from the start.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought about. I mean, my thoughts on it were, I wrote a little bit about this on Medium today as well. I seem to have been doing a lot of Medium writing about things that we got asked on the show. But yeah, so if you think about how you're going to be marketing your startup anyway, a lot of it's going to align with what good SEO is anyway. So you're going to want to write content that targets people in the early stage of discovering your product. So if you're a relatively new B2B brand, presumably you solve a problem that is solved poorly by other people that already have a solution, or not solved at all in your industry. So you're going to have content that's targeting people pretty early in the funnel, in that kind of pre-buying phase. Writing those kind of articles, they're going to rank easier anyway for SEO. So writing them in a way that gives them the opportunity to rank is just going to make sense, because you're going to have to write them anyway, explaining why it's a good idea to switch your product, answering customer questions. It's just going to make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the question was mostly coming from the stance that, hey, SEO costs a lot of money. Well, it really only costs money when you're getting to your traffic generation step of your campaign. The setup stuff is just as important. So you really have to build your website with SEO in mind from day one.
Yeah, so basically it is worth it, but do the easy stuff, do the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
When you've got the budget to go at it hard, build, a long-term foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Have we had any questions on the channel this week, or are we quiet on the channel this week?
I haven't seen anything, no.
No, nothing yet.
Well, come on,
That's all
guys.
right. I guess while we are on the topic of questions, the 24 hours of SEO will be happening sometime in January. So we've already started putting a list together. It's going to be very diverse. It's just going to be hour-long segments of industry experts in their respective fields. I'll be on for 24 hours. I think Vin and Steve will just be a 1-hour guest, and we can talk about stuff. But you'll see me.
Well, I'll be watching the whole 24 hours though. So
we got a lot of cool people, very, very diverse, trying to cover everything and anything that pertains to SEO and even digital marketing. And so if you have any questions about anything, just pretty much get them ready, because you can type them in, or I guess we can do call-ins, whatever. We haven't got
Did you start reaching out to everybody you were talking to, or
not yet? I'm gonna start tomorrow, but
I'm definitely in for more than an hour, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we can be your call screening boys and stuff like that, man. We can. Vin and I will man the phones. We'll keep the calls civil and professional. And
did we pick a charity yet for that?
Well, so what should we do? Should we do one big charity, or should every guest?
Yeah, do one big charity that everyone can get behind.
Let's make a dent, and
Okay.
If we can only give $100 to 10 different charities, that's not much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the industry will get behind it if you pick. What I would do is I would look at charities that a lot of the big influencers in the industry support.
What about a charity that donates technology equipment to schools or something? Is there something like that?
We can do a tech charity. I think that's appropriate for.
Or should we do something more necessary, like food,
or maybe a charity that promotes.
I mean, my favorite U.S. charity is St. Jude's. That's who I pick. Yeah.
That's for
children's
cancer, right? Yeah, it's a good one.
It's all experimental, revolutionary treatments, though. So it's like the hospital of last resort that saves people. That I think that's a pretty awesome charity. And
yeah.
So as 24 hours of SEO, obviously we all know that SEO takes a long time to take effect. So what is our goal after this?
Oh, the goal is just to have. We're not doing something. It's to get experts on. Garrett will interview them briefly, and then
people can ask questions.
I mean, we get questions for this show every week. We're going to get behind promoting this really heavily. So Garrett's going to have a bank of like 400 questions or something, and he's just going to group them by the most appropriate expert. Like he does for the show. We have like a run through, and it's all kind of the same theme. So we, talking about the same kind of stuff through the show. Like if he's got like say, a Facebook person on talking about, how you can, complement your landing page, Facebook ads and stuff like that. Then obviously he's going to put any social questions to that person. If he's got someone on who's an expert in building your own PBN, then all the black hat questions and PBN questions are going to go to that person. And whatever. Like we'll just see who we get on.
That's really cool. At first, I thought we were just like building a site from scratch, and we're going to.
Yeah, that was the original idea, but that just sounds kind of like.
You're going to watch Garrett on like 24 hours, and he's going to fall asleep on his desk.
Yeah, it's going to like.
We have 24 experts, and they all buy into the charity. They're going to bring their audiences. We're going to have a whole different. Like every hour is going to have a different set of people watching. Like if you've got someone on who does PBNs, and everyone who wants to hear their tips on PBNs is on. You can have a totally different crowd watching that hour versus the next hour, which is someone who's going to talk about, visual and user experience. And, have a totally different crowd watching different segments. So it'll be a really good.
So we're basically having 24 different educational webinars in a row, and that sticks with the theme of our show. That's really SEO UnMasked right there. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Call it 24 hours of charity unmasked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great idea. We should do this. God willing, that we're around next year, we should do this yearly.
Yeah, might as well.
Make it a cool thing, you know.
So, yeah, definitely,
So-
definitely. I think it's a really cool idea. But yeah, Vin and I will be around for the full 24 hours to support Garrett and be his phone monkeys to make sure the calls
Yeah.
are good and stuff.
Make sure I stay off the liquor for the first 20 hours.
Yeah. I was thinking like 18 hours in, you can have your first gin and tonic, and we'll go from there.
Well, let's get back to this
Yeah.
main topic here, man. I mean, you know, I say that, you know, there's a lot of, you have to keep SEO in mind when you're building this site. But what else can we tell this guy as far as what he can do before he has much of a budget?
Well,
If he spends like an hour a day just writing relevant blog posts about stuff that people are like, I don't know what this guy is into exactly, a B2B startup. If he's I can't think of it without knowing exactly what. Let's just
assume it's a software tool that an average
selling a software tool, and he's selling it to other businesses. He makes a blog post about how you can be. Let's just say he's selling Excel because it's really easy. He starts making blog posts about how to do certain macros in Excel, how to use Excel to do this, how to do that. And even though he's not going to get a lot of traffic, in a year from now when he has a budget to actually go and do link building and promotion, he has all the content done. And he just spent an hour a day doing that. And then all of a sudden it's like the hard work's done. You know, it's writing the content. And now he's just spending money on promotion.
Yeah. What I would also add is you can use this time as while you're starting the website to start defining and creating your systems and processes, right? So when you know, as a business owner or even as the in-house SEO, it's your job to create all the processes for your SEO campaign. So if you want to have a weekly blog post that goes out, create the process for that, from keyword research to editing to writing the actual content. If you're going to be on social media and you want to have a lot of pictures and videos, you know, create the process for where you get the media from, how you edit it, and create those process documents. So, you know, by the time you have your traction and your budget, you can start delegating and outsourcing that and creating a real SEO campaign.
Yeah, and I remember I had a conversation with someone who does like personal brand consulting for like CEOs and stuff. And one of their points to these CEOs is they have all these friends and all these connections at big companies and at the blogs of big companies and all these opportunities to do things that are insanely powerful for SEO, but they do them without thinking about the SEO. So they'll give a recommendation to a friend's business and they'll just slap it up on their site without linking back to them. They'll appear on a buddy's like podcast and they won't ask for a link. If you just do things with a little bit of SEO in mind, like don't be manipulative and start swapping links with every one of your buddies, you know, like end up building your own private network or something. But just use your common sense. Like if you're like almost all, if someone gives a testimonial, they link to the company that gives the testimonial so that people that read the testimonial can check out that it's genuine. Make sure yours has a link. Don't just be the only testimonial on the page. So there's a lot of SEO that's common sense and stuff that if you just do things that you were going to do anyway as part of your building your business network for your new brand, do it with SEO in mind and you'll get some free stuff out of it that you would have had to go back and do later. So I think understanding the basics and doing what you can makes a lot of sense, even if you haven't got any budget to bring in a professional and actually, you know, do an SEO campaign. You can still do stuff that really helps you in the long term. Just
and even going back to influencer marketing, do one guest post a month. Yeah. But put everything you have into that guest post. Put 10 hours into research and data collection, and 20 hours into your article, and do one a month and make that an awesome guest post every month.
Yeah.
And that alone, you're going to be up to a good start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, do 24 hours of Excel. Garrett's giving you all the material here. You just have to. I mean, he prints leads like they're going out of, I don't know, like it's just like they were free. Just copy what Garrett's up to, man. He's the lead printing machine over there.
And before anybody starts emailing me, no, I'm not an Excel expert. Don't even ask. I can barely do basic stuff in there. So.
We're not doing an Excel question next week. I haven't used Excel in so long.
I use Google Sheets, but
well, after some time, it's just easier to like set up a Postgres database and write a script versus I just don't remember how to do anything in Visual Basic.
My default solution to everything is set up a database in Postgres and go from there. Like, I don't want to be doing anything unless it's in a database now. It's like,
yeah.
It confuses me when I have to look at the cells on the screen.
Yeah.
I want to query it, get my data back.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, anyways, so moving on, we got a review this week. Steve wants to review SERP.net. We used to use it quite a bit a couple of years ago, but we haven't lately. So.
More than a couple of years, yeah.
I guess.
Basically, SERP.net. So there's a lot of people doing this illegally. Not illegal. I don't even know if it's legal or not. Who the hell knows? Unethically, there's lots of account sharing shit goes on in the SEO world. What SERP.net is they've obviously got API deals with all the big providers and the main tools. So you've got rank checking, you've got backlink checking, you've got the coolest thing actually is a community part where you can help each other out with quick online tasks. Some of the tasks that are requested done may be slightly blacked out, but more power to the people who want to do those. But I think it's like $87 a month or something. If you're starting out SEO, I mean, Garrett's been kind of really harping on at me about this because I sign up to everything. And he's like, do we need this one? It's quite easy if you're an SEO agency to end up with $3,000 a month's worth of subscriptions to tools that you kind of need, but you don't need all of them. And that's fine if you're, decent sized agency like we are now. Back when we started, we were like, we can't buy all these tools that we need, but we need the analysis. But we only had like 3 or 4 clients, so it didn't matter that you only get 14. I can't even remember what the numbers are. They're pretty decent, like 50 keyword research scrapes a month, 480 rank updates a month. If you've only got 4 or 5 clients, the limits are like bang on with the size of your business, and it's $87 a month. So yeah, is it as good as Ahrefs? No, nowhere near, because Ahrefs just get millions of lines of data, but you haven't got to pay £100 of Ahrefs. Is it as good as Search? Of course it's not as good as Search. Search has all the regional data. You put billions of sites and campaigns in on their $150, but you haven't got to pay for the $150 package there. And you just keep going through this keyword research tools, all the other stuff that you don't have to pay for. It's all in SERP.net. So if you're a beginner SEO or a one-man band SEO agency and you're swearing all the time because you want all these tools you can't afford, this just gives you like basic teaser access. It's like a demo access to everything. And it'll we managed with it for about 18 months. I think it was our main tool when we were starting the company up, and that was our first company, not our link building company. It was back when we were just starting out.
So it was a lot more than 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember why.
6 years ago, 7 years ago, when we kind of first started trying to do.
Because I was still using SERPFox. That was a long time ago.
For beginner SEOs, for any of you that are watching that can't afford tools, don't go around burning bridges of tools and getting shared accounts and you're all logging in, get your items.
How are these shared account guys doing this for $5 a month? So let's say you have the Ahrefs minimum package at $100 a month. You need at least 20 people paying $5, but you can't log in at the same time. So do you just get like an hourly block where you get to use it?
And you get banned all the time if you do it. I don't understand how they pull it off, to be honest. I think you're better off just getting SERP.net and then. But let's face it, once you get past 5 clients, once you have 6, 7, 8 clients, you can suddenly spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on the tools that you need to do your work. Well, you won't get to 2,000-3,000 anywhere near out 6 clients. You'll be spending about probably $600 or something.
Have you guys ever used any of those other suites of tools like Raven Tools or Internet Marketing or SEO
I
Ultimate?
don't like Raven tools at all. I found that to be they resell they're like SERP.net, but they charge you money because don't they use just Majestic's data and then mess around?
I've never used it. Like, there's all these like
I tried
tools
it
that
out, but
they've been around forever. It's just like something I've never even looked at.
Matthew
Um,
Woodward didn't like them. He got into a massive long. I mean, I don't rate him as being like some kind of genius, but
Yeah.
he certainly made a lot of money from his no backlink project with his blog. That's done very, very well for him.
I like Citation Labs and all the tools that they have. But
Labs are fantastic. They had some tools
we use them for a lot.
Yeah, there was some tools they had before that they took down. I'm trying to remember which ones. I'll have to have a look, see if they've come back, because they had some amazing tools and they went away for like a rebuild
yeah,
and didn't sign back up again. And they were just amazing. They had like an email finder and all kinds of cool stuff.
yeah. Citation Labs almost seemed like Scrapebox on steroids. Like, it had all the same similar features, but more so. The only thing I didn't like was it was credit based rather than just like a subscription. Like you have to pay for almost.
Well,
like
I think if you were using it as much as you could, the credit system, because subscriptions force you to lose money that you don't use. Like some months you'd want to be on like the agency subscription for $2,000 a month. Other months you want like $200.
Right,
like if you were using it for serious volume, because our bill with them varies between $300 and $1,000. Like, there's no package that would be right for us, so it would be a pain in the ass if we had to be on $700 a month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We would just cancel it. I don't want to overpay on any month.
Right.
If they said, right, your average is $700, you've got to pay that, I'd be like, no, I'm canceling now.
Right.
Just because they give us the credit system. They're a really good company to work with, actually. If you're a volume buyer, data and SEO tools, you speak to their accounts team. They're available on Skype. They'll do custom deals for you. If you're but they're amazing to work with. We'll never actually leave them unless they're really good to us.
Yeah, Garrett French and his team are pretty cool. Yep.
Yeah, I've only had the pleasure of speaking to Garrett himself once, and that was so long ago.
Have we ever reviewed them on here? Probably should.
No.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll do a proper review of them next week. So we'll start waffling now, and we'll do a proper walkthrough, and I'll dig up to see if they've brought the tools that I used to love back again, because they were going to. We'll do a proper review of all of their kind of 8 or 9 tools. Hopefully they've still got most of them, but at least 5 of their tools we'll do a quick run through next week.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing any sort of scraping these days, and you're paying a lot of money to host your own proxies and all this shit, it is so much more affordable just to pay Citation Labs and never have to deal with that headache. It is so much nicer.
Unless you have a single process that you need to scale to high heaven too. Like, I mean, you guys are using something else, right? Because
yeah. I mean, we've massively reduced our reliance on Google's data, because obviously at some point it's going to be impossible for these companies like Citation Labs to provide the data they provide. And if you want to go back, I think it was SEO UnMasked episode 2, I reveal the tool that I use. I won't be revealing it ever again, so you have to watch the episode.
Yep.
But yeah, we use a lot of APIs for people that are willing to sell their data at a reasonable price, because it's all the same data.
Right.
I mean, it might, objectively, you can say, oh yeah, if you used it as a search engine, it would be shit compared with Google. But if you're just looking for data, we've got humans manually checking out every single site anyway. So it makes no difference whether the data's as good or not to us. If it's 100%, that's the thing as well. Like when Citation Labs, sometimes if you run a Google like scrape to get, I mean, I'm assuming they still scrape Google. They used to. If you run a scrape to get a bunch of keyword data, it can take 7 hours to come back if they've had some proxies go down and a bunch of scrapes come in. If you're paying someone for their API, you get your data back in 4.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So anyway, watch our earlier episodes for what a real outreach agency uses to get data instead of their list of their list of 200 failing sites that they sell to their 800 clients. I'm sure that works out really well. If you want to see where real data comes from, watch earlier episodes.
Cool, man.
Yeah, SERP.net. We're not affiliate, should be, but we don't make any money from the show. We're just trying to help you guys out. So just jump on SERP.net.
We lose money on this show. We have to buy liquor. We have to.
Yeah, I've drunk by mistake $60 worth of cognac.
Tonight? Red Sassy Steve is coming out right now.
Yeah. I wish I was as drunk as I was down in Brighton. That was super fun. Like me and Mark just couldn't even walk. Trying to get up to the room and get set up for the show, and we're there with one broken set of headset between us. That was our best show, I think. You should definitely check out the Brighton SEO special with special guest appearance by Sassy Steve and Drunk Mark. Mark doesn't drink at all unless he's at a conference with the business. Like his 2 drinks a year are on a business event. So between the two of us, we were pretty smooth on that show. I think we really kept it together.
If anybody that's watching right now signs up for the SEO UnMasked email list, we'll send you our secret Las Vegas show that we actually cut on YouTube. So I wasn't going to announce it today, but sign up for our list.
No, the secret Las Vegas show is never being released. Garrett almost got me to put it on LinkedIn. I was this close to putting that recording on LinkedIn, but I didn't. Luckily, I think.
What's the conference in March?
LeadsCon.
That'll be really. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm going to try my best to make that, and just to outdo you guys from Vegas.
Oh, I'm flying down with your favorite airline. I'm flying down with
JetBlue
in the Mint Suite on whatever the airline's called. The one you were going to fly.
Yeah.
Flying down in their Mint Suite. American Airlines I was just going to do direct from Philadelphia because that's where I am before, but they were just kind of messing me around this insane price. I'm like, no, I'm just going to hop to Boston and then have a bed the whole way down and save myself $300 in the process. Thanks.
Yeah, it wasn't that much more expensive. I mean, I lost my ticket price completely, but it wasn't that much more expensive, and it looked first class all the way.
I can't wait. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
$599 one way down from Boston to Las Vegas in a bed. I'm not going to pay what American Airlines wanted for the return from Philadelphia.
No.
Because I've got work. Well, I've got a long layover in Boston, but I've got work to do anyway. So I'm just going to go to the lounge, do 5 hours work, and then go to bed and wake up in Vegas. So.
Yeah, you fly a lot more than I do, but I only fly Delta or JetBlue at this point. I don't trust American Airlines or United or any of those.
Delta are fantastic.
Yeah,
that's who I fly. Yeah.
Delta are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it sucks. So flight, me and Steve, we usually hack out the good flight deals, but the last few months or so, and looking into 2018 for traveling for work, flight prices have skyrocketed, and then the other night we finally saw that all the airlines are, even though they're in record profits, they are increasing fares and they're just increasing everything. So
yeah,
it's jumping up again. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about the prices going to Seattle and SMX Advanced because. I mean, I'm not adverse to the price being fair, but it's double the normal business class flight price. And I'm like, well, so I'm probably going to fly into Philadelphia and then just fly Delta across or something.
Yeah, it's I was kind of on each hand, did we get too used to paying for flights that were too cheap, and now we don't want to pay normal price, or are they genuinely more expensive than they should be?
Somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I find they're trying to figure out what airlines are doing.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what we'll pay, and they won't know yet because there was a depression in flight prices. Business people are traveling.
Well, I told Steve last winter, Megan and I went down to Florida to visit some of my family, and we flew first class on Delta for just under $700 for both tickets round trip. And now that same flight is going to cost, what was it, $550 coach each ticket? Like that's a huge difference. That's
when coach is like going above what first class used to be, I mean that's a big jump in prices. So, and that's what I'm seeing on the Seattle route for SMX Advanced. It's like, coach is what business used to be, and it's like business is 3x what it used to be. That's a big jump. So there's no way I'm doing the direct flight.
yeah.
I want the convenience, but I'm not stupid. There's better things I can do. I mean,
you just sit at the airport bar and not even spend that much.
Well, I have to stay at the airport for 3 days to spend as much as a 3x on a business class flight from London. I mean, go up to Manchester, fly to Philadelphia, then take a Delta hop for $400 each way. Job done.
There you go.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. So, but if there are connections that are better and Delta are consistently more competitive, then Delta's going to win a lot of business.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think that wraps everything up for this week.
No, Vince, don't tweet this. You can't.
Don't tweet this. And, full disclosure, this is a work in progress, but it's just something that I started working on earlier this week. We talked about it the last couple of shows that I'm having trouble getting certain target keywords to hit the first page, especially when there's no competition and there's really no reason why I shouldn't be on the first page. So my guess was that it was over optimization. So I spoke to a few people that are smarter minds than I am.
If you're Ty Lopez, you have to say, I spoke to my mentors. I read some books.
I spoke to Jared, I spoke to my buddy Dan, and my buddy Derek too. And what we did is that we came up with that we would reduce keyword density for any word on the page to under 3% total. So this won't be your common words like your adverbs and pronouns and stuff like that, but any type of keyword you want it to be under 3%. So what I did is I just popped my...
You give an example of a word that wasn't one of your main keywords, like an obvious keyword that you were targeting, another word that you reduced?
Coffee would be the word.
And he doesn't want a coffee site, just so everyone knows.
It's not a coffee site.
That's totally unrelated to his niche completely. Coffee is like nothing to do with it.
So I found that coffee wasn't part of my target keyword, but I was using it about 4% total in the text. So I dropped that down to under 3%. And then I also looked at any two-word keyword phrase, and I dropped that down below 2%. And any three-word keyword phrase or higher, I dropped down to 1% or lower. And in about 48 hours, I saw an increase in traffic and rankings to the page. So my theory is that if you're using any word on the page more than 3%, you're probably showing some kind of signal to Google that this might be not natural. Mm-hmm. So, it's been a long time since any SEO has discussed keyword density, but I think that this has some merit to it. I'm going to track it over the next couple of weeks and see how it pans out.
It's interesting, actually, because we, for one of our clients, we had a batch of their pages written by a different writer, and she doesn't write with the kind of SEO keyword density at all, and we didn't order it with either of them, but one of them just has more experience writing keyword density, so it came back with higher densities, and the newest batch didn't. And the newer batch that had just basically no density of anything, insta ranked, which is kind of why I was so excited when Vin had done a test as well, like changing an existing page. Because like Garrett pointed out when I asked him about like the difference between the pages, and he's like, yeah, but I mean, these are kind of low competition because it's a regional client. It wasn't really a conclusive test. So to hear you on a national site doing a similar test and seeing the same result was super exciting when you mentioned it for the show. So that's why I was so hyped about our Don't Tweet this week, because I think that's the idea that, words that aren't words you're focusing on. So you're there deliberately not over optimizing for your main keywords, and some random word like coffee could be hurting you.
Right.
I don't think many people are aware of, and so it's kind of
well, it goes back to what you were saying before. Is this strategy? Is this going to be something that Google's looking for, or that it's going to be benefit my site in the long run? And I think it does. I think if you're using a single word over 3% of the total of the article.
You had an article that was nothing to do with coffee,
right,
that for some reason was waffling on about coffee all the time.
Yeah,
it makes think about it. Yeah.
And the other test we were doing also was using a single word multiple times in a URL string. So say if the site was coffeetips.com and the page was .com/best coffee for 2017, you have coffee there twice. So if you just reduce that subdirectory slug down to best of 2017, we also saw a boost in rankings also. So
the keyword density in your URL slug.
Yeah.
So do you think the URL slug? I totally get what Vin's saying, but I also have a thought where it seems just as simplistic and organizational as possible. Where is Google saying you should organize your folder structure like this? Like that word coffee isn't even needed because it's still every best of.
Well, we were talking about a single variable experience before, so I think there's other variables in play there. So like it has to do with your over optimization. So if your content is over optimized and you have the same word twice in your URL, you're probably going to not be able to rank. So
like if you took the piss and you had like coffeereviews.com / best coffee / best coffee 2017
right.
/
I think
2017. Like you've got 2017 in twice. You've got 3 subdirectories with coffee. It's also too long, so it's not good for the user to read in their search results. You're triggering like loads of flaws and good marketing.
I think when it comes to the URL string, it's going to be very contingent on how you optimize the rest of the page, is what I'm trying to say. So you may not need to cut the URL string down if the rest of your content is not over optimized for your target keyword. But if it is, you can try to shorten the URL string and 301 the old page to the new URL and see if that does anything for you. For me, it did, but
and that's something where you can do it now because 301s don't burn equity like they used to.
Right, exactly.
Because I remember Matt Cutt's original explanation for why internal links and 301s burned equity all the time, and it was around you could make a cyclical structure on your site where your site had a higher page rank just because it linked to itself if they didn't add that decay.
Yeah.
So you could just keep going. You could send the crawl around like this, and that would have given you like page rank 9.
Yeah.
So they added the decay so that
So it would be diminishing returns eventually.
Yeah. It dropped to 0 quickly enough that it got the right result. I'd imagine now with how much more sophisticated Google's algorithm is, it knows that your internal structure matters, like things that are closer to the homepage, things that are more relevant to the topic of the site, all that kind of stuff it can figure out.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get fooled by go round and round with my site and give it page rank 9, please.
But yeah, like I said, full disclosure, this is something I've just started trying this week. It looks to be working. It looks to make sense that you wouldn't want any word on your page more than 3%. That's a lot. But you don't have to use words.
It's in line with our accidental test, which is why I was kind of excited. So I think it's something. I've got a page I'm going to test it on that we didn't want to rank it particularly. It was the one that we just built to build links to as our demonstration links. But it was kind of surprising that it didn't pop because of the quality of the links that it got. Like real PR agencies were linking to our PR guide. Like, these weren't like we just got some business sites to link to a PR article. We got our competitors in the PR space to link to our PR guide, and it didn't pop. It popped when the links got built right up onto page 1. We got shitloads of leads and traffic, and then it's just can't get it off page 2 now. No, that we tried.
And you know, there's a lot of chatter in the white hat community where they just don't believe in over optimization. Like their stance is there's no such thing as over optimization. You're just not doing things above board enough, or it's not high. You know, the quality isn't there.
Oh, come on, that's nonsense. I can show you an over optimized page.
Right,
I mean,
right.
We can.
So I'm very tentative. Just like I said earlier in the show, I don't want to present something, and it's certainly not even coming from me. It's coming from an amalgamation of my buddies. But I want to present something that doesn't have proof behind it. But this
you and your buddies have all made substantial lumps of cash from the site.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd listen to you guys ahead of myself on the on-page stuff because it's not the game that me and Garrett play particularly, compared with you guys who've sold some sites for some pretty chunky chunks of change over the years.
I'm really into digging into the on-site stuff and the on-site optimization because I think there's a lot. There's more big wins there than what we realize. So just a lot of
I'll report back. I mean, if it happens in 48 hours, then I'll have a report back on next week's show. If it takes longer, then maybe it'll be because there won't be a show obviously over the Christmas break, our January show. But yeah, I'm going to make those changes to that PR page and just see if killing everything below the 3-2-1 rule that Vin's got works or not. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's a page that it literally, when we built the links, it shot onto page 1 and was just pumping leads and pumping inquiries, and then it's been on page 2 just since.
And there's a real easy way to get the keyword densities too. You don't have to be like counting words on the page.
I use the SEO Quake toolbar.
Yeah, I use the tool I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, ranks.nl, and you literally just pop the URL in there in the page analyzer, and it'll give you densities for every word on the page for up to phrases of like 4 words. 4 words, I think it goes up to.
Yeah, SEO Quake's the same. SEO Quake is just a Chrome plugin you can get. It's free, super cool.
Yeah, I've been
saying that. I think
forever.
SEO has that installed on their Google Chrome.
Cool.
For those who don't, get SEO Quake.
So that's my don't tweet this.
Awesome.
Try that.
Tweet this. Actually, I think that's a really good one. Although the show with Jared, we did like 15 accidental don't tweet this. We need to get him back. Don't tweet this machine throughout the show.
He's here every week, man. He should just come on every week.
Yeah.
But
Jared, want to come on the show next week? Let us know. Might as well.
For our pre-Christmas special, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that wraps everything up. If I'm not forgetting anything else.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to smash that like button. Keep Sassy Steve happy as always. Don't forget to email him any question, no matter how spurious it may be.
Yeah, get questions. I only had the one question this week, which is a pretty good one actually, because it sounded like he was kind of giving up, but do some stuff. But yeah, get us some more questions. It's kind of cool, and we've got like 3 or 4 quick fire questions to get through. So anything SEO related, anything Facebook ads related, anything influencer marketing related, we can cover any of those topics really well with our experience. So fire them in. We'll answer them.
All right. Yeah. Share, like, subscribe. It helps us out. And we'll have more info on the upcoming events next week. Take it easy.
Later, guys.